Ladies and gents, please enjoy the band. We have about 15 or 20 minutes left before we'll start formally. Good evening, ladies and gents. We are a little bit early, but I appreciate your patience. There's a tangible enthusiasm to know more about D-Day, so I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of a history for you before we start officially. The only reason there is a delay is that, of course, this is a national initiative, the beacon lighting, so we're doing our very best to fit in with the time that's been upheld across the country. But what I thought I'd share with you first of all is the order of the day that was issued by General Dwight D. Eisenhower on D-Day. This was issued to the Allied service personnel as a means to encourage and enthuse them for the D-Day landing itself, and in preparation for those who were flying over the airborne troops. So this was his order. Eisenhower was the supreme Allied commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force. After the war, he went on to become the President of the United States of America. Now, I will resist the temptation of presenting the order in an American accent, but I'll assure you it will be the first time most of you will have heard it with an Adlington twang. But in all seriousness, what I would like you to do as you listen to this order is imagine yourself as an 18, 19, 20-year-old crossing the English Channel or flying overhead, ready to embark upon the most daring military assault ever. You are risking your life to liberate strangers, liberate the people of Europe. You don't know them, but you are risking your lives for them. Eisenhower's order. Soldiers, sailors, airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you are about to embark upon the Great Crusade, toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hope and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the elimination of tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well trained, well equipped and battle hardened. He will fight savagely. But this is the year 1944. Much has happened since the enemy's gains and triumphs of 1940 and 1941. The United Nations have inflicted upon the enemies great defeats in open battle, man to man. Our air offensive has seriously reduced their strength in the air and their capacity to wage war on the ground. Our home fronts have given us an overwhelming superiority in weapons and munitions of war, and placed at our disposal great reserves of trained fighting men. The tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Good luck, and let us beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking. Deputy Lord Lieutenant, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, children, and it's great to see so many of the younger generations here this evening. My name is Stuart Clewlow, and on behalf of Chorley Council, I'd like to welcome you all to Astley Park and to our Civic War Memorial as we come together to acknowledge the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and also a welcome to those who can't join us in person but might be watching through the Council's live stream video. Chorley District has a long tradition of showing its support for our heritage and observing important military anniversaries. Today is certainly no exception, with the lighting of this beacon to honour all those who took part in D-Day, either as part of the beach landings or in a supporting role at sea, in the air or from the United Kingdom. Our beacon will be lit at 9:15, with the time, hopefully, being indicated by the chiming of the Town Hall bells. I'd therefore like to ask our beacon lighter, Deputy Mayor of Chorley, Councillor Alistair Morwood, to make his way towards the beacon. So while we wait, what was D-Day? Our Prime Minister at the time, Winston Churchill, described it as the greatest thing we have ever attempted. D-Day, the Normandy landings, the launch of Operation Overlord. It was a campaign which saw the largest armada ever assembled set off from the United Kingdom and cross the English Channel by air and sea to liberate Europe from years of tyranny and oppression. Shortly after midnight, on the 6th of June 1944, 18,000 Allied paratroopers were dropped into occupied France. Nearly 7,000 naval vessels were engaged in action and had the responsibility of landing well over 130,000 Allied troops onto the now famous assault beaches of Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno and Sword. Overhead, the Allied air forces flew continuous supportive missions. D-Day was not only a combined operation from the British Armed Forces, but it was also an unrivalled example of international cooperation and a large-scale determination to liberate Europe and free its people from an evil regime. Again, it was Winston Churchill that, knowing the importance of working together with other nations, said, "There's only one thing worse than fighting with allies, and that is fighting without them." The campaign, which lasted 2 months, 3 weeks and 3 days, would result in the deaths of over 50,000 Allied service personnel. Many men from Chorley district served in the armed forces and saw action during the Normandy Campaign. A number lost their lives at sea, on land and in the air. Men from the area were also taken prisoner of war or suffered being wounded in action and would be affected for the rest of their lives. An interesting local D-Day fact: 2 men from Chorley lived roughly a mile apart, either end of Eves Lane, more or less. They may have known each other before the war, I don't know. But both brave men joined the army, landed in Normandy, serving with different regiments, and died within just 2 weeks of each other. In life, they lived close together and were part of our community. In death, by sheer coincidence, believe it or not, our soldiers from Chorley now forever lie side by side in Bayeux War Cemetery in France. It is only right and proper that 80 years later the service and sacrifice of the men and women of our armed forces and those of our allies should be honoured. With the lighting of this beacon, we will remember them. As we wait for the bells to chime, Councillor Morwood, please be ready. Councillor Morwood will now read the International Tribute. This is being read out all across the country to provide a unique way of us all collectively acknowledging those who made the ultimate sacrifice on D-Day and throughout World War II, whilst fighting for the freedom that we all enjoy today.
Let us remember those who gave their lives at home and abroad during the D-Day landings, whose sacrifice enables us all to enjoy the peace and freedom we have today. Let us remember those who came home wounded, physically and mentally, and the friends and family who cared for them. Let us remember those who returned to restore their relationships and rebuild their working lives after years of conflict and turmoil. Let us remember the families that lost husbands, wives, sons, daughters and sweethearts. Let us remember the servicemen and women and merchant seafarers of all nationalities from all countries who fought, suffered and died during the D-Day landings and 6 years of war. Let us all remember those in the Royal Navy, Army, Royal Air Force, Merchant Navy and our allies, the brave people who kept us safe on the home front and abroad, and those in reserved occupations during the difficult time of war. Let us remember the brave doctors and nurses who cared for the wounded, the men and women who toiled in the fields, the coal mines, the factories, and the air raid wardens, police officers, firemen, ambulance drivers, and the young people of the Scouts and Guides who all played such a vital role in the war.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will now hear the last post and observe a 2-minute silence.
When you go home, tell them of us. For your tomorrow, we give our today.
Well, thank you everyone for attending this evening and helping us to acknowledge the 80th anniversary of D-Day, the campaign which led to an eventual victory in Europe on the 8th of May 1945. Our service has been just one of many hundreds, if not thousands, of similar acts of remembrance taking place across the United Kingdom. Thank you to everyone that has played a part in the evening's ceremony, including Rivington and Adlington Brass Band, the standard bearers, our Cadet Forces, the sound team, council staff, and of course our very special World War II re-enactors and their wartime jeeps parked up by the Memorial Arch. Do go and say hello to them on your way out. I wish you all a safe journey home, and we will end tonight's ceremony with a verse of the national anthem. Thank you.
Nee, we deden overmaken, want dat... Samen is het. Ja,